this is my take 2 filming an intro for this, hopefully the start of a nice weekly reading vlog. This week it's like the first full week of November. Today is Monday, and I really want to try to push myself to finish a lot of books that I have been in the middle of forever. So for context, additional context, Bucket List-a-thon is officially starting in about a week and a half, and I thought it might be nice to kind of start with a bit of a fresh slate for that. I am in the middle of too many books always, and recently I've been kind of chipping away at that list, but there are a couple that have been hanging on for months and months and months, and a couple others that I should just get through while I'm at it. So that's my goal for this week of reading, and hopefully I should have some good amounts of time to read. So books I'm currently in the middle of that I need to finish. One that's not a bad offender, His Majesty's Dragon. I'm about 2/3 of the way through this. I'm really enjoying it. I only started it maybe a week ago, so this one's fine, and we're gonna keep it going. I'm gonna maybe see if I can finish it tonight or tomorrow morning. That would be really fun. I'm gonna try to do a lot of reading tonight, but I have to work a little bit more first. And another one that's not too bad is Celestial Monsters. I'm about 10%, 12% of the way into this. It has not gripped me yet, but I only started it a couple weeks ago, so it's still okay, but I would like to push myself to finish it. The real offenders are these three. So first, Erich from You Shall Be as Gods. This is a book I'm currently borrowing from a friend, so I really have to return it. She loves this book. It's a book of like religious philosophy. It's a Jewish book. It's a like kind of a non-theistic interpretation of the Bible as like a tool for spiritual growth. Anyway, I'm a quarter of the way through it. I started it back in August when I went on a trip with the friend that I borrowed this from, and then I read a little bit more of it hanging out with her, and I haven't read it since. I keep waiting for the right moment, but then I was reading another book about the high holidays, so this kind of went to the wayside. But she like dog-eared all the pages, which I don't dog-ear my pages, but I'm okay with it. It's her book. All the pages that were really important to her, so like I can kind of interact with it with her and then talk about it with her. So I really want to finish this so I can finally return this book and we can chat about it. Next is The Secret History. I just got this copy from the library. It looks a little water damaged, but I did read the first third of it off of Libby in like February. I was gonna say the winter. It wasn't like really winter, but it was cold because I was living in Michigan. I do think it's a good fall book. I mean, it follows the school year. I think I did eventually get through to the winter, but it definitely starts in the fall. I'm gonna have to reread some of it for sure, but I really love to finish this book. It actually didn't end up taking me that long to get through it, even though I was reading on my phone, which is crazy. I never do that. So back in the era I was accepting way too many Kindle holds on Libby. I don't know how I feel about this. It's one of my friend's favorite books, so I do really want to give it a fair shot. There are parts of it that I don't love, and there are parts of it that I just feel like are, I don't know, overly wordy. But it is interesting. It is like, you know, the prototypical dark academia classic for a reason. I do understand. I'm also like interested in some of the more derivative works, like If We Were Villains, I'm pretty sure is like a very similar plot-wise to this, but with Shakespeare instead of classics and Greek and stuff. Anyway, I would like to finish it. Again, I'm a third of the way through. I might have to reread a bit because it's been some months, but I can do it. Finally, this one's maybe the worst offender because this is the fourth time I've had this out from the library. I had the ebook, and then the physical book, and then the audiobook, and now I have the physical book again, though a different edition. Last time I had a paperback, now I have a hardback. I'm 2/3 of the way through this. The book is basically a collection of short stories exploring this town in Turkey, in the Ottoman Empire specifically, but in the Anatolian Peninsula and what will become Turkey, and basically the relationships between all the different people in this little town and how that kind of changes as we near the end of the Ottoman Empire. I think it's really interesting. This is a period of history I studied a lot during my undergraduate degree. I don't know if it's always entirely accurate, but I think it is reflecting some lived realities. Not that the author is coming from that perspective. He's like a British man, but anyway, I think it's fairly well done. I think what slowed me down, one is just being intimidated by it and already having it take me a long time. I did start this in June, and two is we were getting into the war part of World War I, and I just don't love war stories that much, so it was like a lot of war stories and then more political stuff, and I was kind of enjoying it more when it was the political stuff interspersed with these village stories, and now it's like political stuff interspersed with war stories and some village stories, and it's also getting a lot sadder. I know that it's a sad book. World War I was a horrible thing. The end of the Ottoman Empire in a lot of ways caused, I mean, the Ottoman Empire itself was not great, but it caused a lot of, and it was caused by a lot of violence and infighting, and a lot of horrible things happened. I'm sure that this is going to touch on the Armenian genocide and the population exchanges between Greece and Turkey. Like, there's so much nasty stuff in history that this is going to touch on, so I think emotionally, I have to be ready for that. So those are the 5 books that I'm in the middle of that I would like to finish this week, maybe a little bit into next week, just like before Bucket Listathon starts. The other book I would like to read this week is a short one, and that's because it's kind of a semi-buddy read with my grandfather, and this is The Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. This is actually on my Bucket Listathon TBR, but I'm starting it early because of the aforementioned buddy read with my grandfather. He's not rereading it, but he's read it, and we're going to talk about it, and I'm excited. This is just about how checklists can be used to basically expand the kind of knowledge that we can, as humans, keep in our brains. We can't keep everything in our brains. Sometimes we gotta make checklists to make sure we do things right. That's it. All right, I will update you maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow with what I'm able to finish. I'm also in the middle of a book on my Kindle that is a novel in verse, and that's reading really quickly, so I'm gonna try to finish that, and then maybe His Majesty's Dragon, and then I might start this. These guys are gonna take some more emotional strength, fortitude to start again, but I will do it this week. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. Hi, just wanted to film a little update. It is Tuesday evening around 9:30 p.m. I just got home from a long, nice family dinner. I was chatting a lot with my cousins who are in town, and it was really, really lovely to see them. So this is where I am in my reading after 2 days. I finished the book I was reading on my Kindle, which was called Call Me Athena, Girl from Detroit. It was a novel in verse. Anyway, it wasn't one of my top priorities, but I did finish it. I've also finished His Majesty's Dragon. I finished this last night and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and now I want to read the whole series. I was telling my friend, like, oh, I have a little bit of a book hangover, and he was like, well, it's a series, right? Just read the next one. Like, oh, you don't understand. I have like 7 other books I need to read. But I did put a hold in it for at the library. That will probably be coming in the next couple days, but it was great. I loved it. And I've started the Checklist Manifesto. This was good. I'm about maybe 60% of the way through. It's reading really quickly. It's really engagingly written. This is, again, not one of the books I was in the middle of, but it was a book I wanted to read this week, and I did get to talk about it with my grandfather a little bit at dinner, or before dinner, which was good. We were both telling my cousins about how good of a book it is. I'm gonna try tonight to get myself to at least find my place in Birds Without Wings and read a couple chapters, because otherwise I'm never going to get the momentum going on this. This is, again, a different edition than the one I was reading before, so it's going to take me a little second to figure out where I was. It's a little annoying, but I think I'll get there. I know approximately where I am, and I have to reread a couple chapters. That's okay. And then I'm gonna try and do a thing that Literary Diversions put in her video on like tips of how to read more, which is put a little bookmark like every 50 pages or every 75 pages to have little mini motivations, little bits of motivation. So I'm gonna try and do that tonight so that I can actually get started reading this book. That's where I'm at. I'll see you tomorrow, maybe. What are you looking at, Tober? Hello, I'm back in the same place as I was last night. It is now Wednesday evening, and I kind of liked this vibe. I think the lighting is pretty decent. So last night I did finish the Checklist Manifesto. So that's one book that I wasn't in the middle of off my currently reading. This was really great, and I really enjoyed talking to my grandfather about it. So I'm really glad I read it, and he gave me this copy, so I'll probably keep it for a while, and maybe if there's someone in my life who I feel like would really benefit from it, I might just like pass it on to them, and it'll be a nice little chain of ownership. I have also continued listening to Tress of the Emerald Sea. I listened to about 10% of it today as I was walking over to my grandparents' house. I also re-picked up Birds Without Wings last night. Did I say I was gonna do it last night and then I did it last night? I think I did. And I read probably about 70 pages. So that's not nothing. I'm currently at page 426. I think I picked it up at around, 345, I think is where I picked it up again. So yeah, 70 pages, and it ends around page 550. So I have just over 100 pages left. That's not that many pages, if you think about it. If I read 70 pages in a day, and I just need to read a little bit more, and then I'm done with it tomorrow. That's kind of crazy. Okay, this book is all right. I'm glad the war is over, but we're starting another war. So, I mean, depends, I guess, on how much you know about the history of the Ottoman Empire. But there's a lot of infighting after the Ottoman Empire kind of collapses. So I think we're in 1919 now. And, you know, It's kind of getting to the point where it's a lot of political and history content, and that's fine, but I do think I was enjoying the book more when it was more about this town and the kind of characters in it and how they got along with each other. And I kind of get that the point was to establish the town and how they all were and then to see how it all falls apart, but it's like every other chapter is following Mustafa Kemal. That's Ataturk, like that's the guy who founds and leads the war and stuff to build the Republic of Turkey. He's like a huge politician. He's not from the town, so it's like in the beginning it was kind of like every once in a while you get a chapter from Mustafa Kemal, and you'd kind of get like, oh, this is the kind of the wider political context that's kind of building while this town is just kind of chugging along. And sometimes you'd see it reflected, and now it's like at the end of every Mustafa Kemal chapter, it like goes back, or not every, but most of the chapters, it goes back to like kind of how the town is doing, but only for a little bit, and then a lot of it is just like about politics. And it's fine. Like I said, I'm just not liking it as much. I kind of get it that that's how the book is doing it, but it's not my favorite, and I'm also just getting stressed because I know that things are gonna go wrong. Things have already gone horribly, like characters have already died, but I don't want more of them to. There's just so much more suffering in the future. Okay, now that I realize that I only have about 120 pages left, that feels good. I'm gonna try and finish some more tonight. I will say my eyes are really hurting and I just have a headache and I've just been staring at screens too long. So maybe I will pick up an audiobook instead and try to like tidy things around my room or something that doesn't require as much staring at words. We will see. Hopefully I can finish this tomorrow, which would be Thursday, and then I have Friday maybe to pick up Celestial Monsters or The Secret History. That would be great. I did finish one more book and I have made progress in 2 other books, so yay. Hello, it is the next evening, whatever that is. Thursday? Yes, Thursday evening, about 10 p.m. and I have another update. Have finished Birds Without Wings. I just finished it literally like 2 minutes ago, and it took a lot for me to push through the last bit. Well, really, it was the end of the really historical part, and then it got back into the stories of people from the town again, and that was a lot easier. But yeah, no, the political sections were really grating on me. Overall, I'm really glad I read this book. It was recommended to me by a peer in one of my classes in my last semester of college, and it did have a lot to do with the topics we were talking about in that class. So the class was called Jews of the Middle East, and that's such a broad topic. This is, again, about the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. It doesn't specifically talk about Jews, but it does talk about other intergroup relations and just kind of in general the catastrophes at the end of the Ottoman Empire and the violence and the communities that were ripped apart. There's a lot of horrible stuff. There's a lot about the intergroup relations between Christians and Muslims and stuff. All in all, I don't know that I think this book did the best with it. I think some parts, particularly violence against women and depictions of women's bodies, there were some parts that I just felt like, is this white guy really the guy I want to be talking about this? And is the way that he's talking about it really serving the purpose it's supposed to serve? But overall, I mean, I think it was done in a way that felt very real on some level. I don't know that it's easy to read it and to connect to, and I don't really know how this was received, but clearly, at least to the person that recommended it to me, this was a window into this period of history and into these types of places that she had not seen before, and I'm glad that it's out there for that reason. So, I don't know, I'm gonna have to think on it a little bit more. I did really like the first part of it, but I just kind of got frustrated towards the end. I did read a little bit more last night after I updated, but mostly I was reading a completely different book, which is this, I'll Have What He's Having. And no, this was not on my TBR for this week, but it is due back at the library in like 4 days, I think, at this point, and this is for a book club that is meeting next Friday. So I'm reading it early, but hopefully that way, if anyone else in the book club has it on hold at the library, they can get it for the book club. That's what I'm thinking. This is a romance. It's between a Persian American and a Black African American man in Kansas City, Missouri. One of them is taking over his parents' Persian restaurant. The other one is studying to become a master sommelier. They are Farzan and David are their names. Anyway, I think this is solid. It is like kind of friends with benefits to lovers, I suppose, to dating, which is really not one of my favorite dynamics, but I think the characters are cool. I really like the aspects of Iranian American identity and food and family. I like that, which I believe is from the author's lived experience. I like that it's set in Kansas City. I have a family, I have an ancestral connection to Kansas City, but I've only been there once, so that's kind of fun. It has a little Kansas City skyline and everything, and it's just easy to read. So I'm at page 173. So yeah, we will see. I will probably read more of this tonight. Then I guess the last book I have is The Secret History. So maybe I'll try to push myself to find my place in that. Though that one I feel like I will maybe need to do some rereading because it's been a while. I think I started that one in March. And also I don't know that I would mind, okay, other than the fact that I would have to reread it and I have a million billion other books I want to read, I don't know that I would mind rereading it because it does start at the beginning of a new semester, which is in the fall, obviously, and it definitely continues through the winter, and I read that much, and so it might be kind of nice to read it in the fall, but I'm not sure. I don't really like the characters in it, like, they're very annoying people, so I don't know how much I just want to, like, reread and spend more time in there. I do think it's well crafted. I think it's probably really interesting. I mean, there's a reason that it's, like, the Dark Academia book, I think. I don't know how I feel. Definitely need to keep reading this because I have to return to the library. I actually also have to read When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. That's also due back at the library when this one is. And that one's really short. I thought it was like a short novel, but it's straight up, it's like novella. It's like not even 200 pages. Anyway, that's what I've got for this update. Oh wait, also I reorganized my bookshelf. I don't know if you can really tell. It's a lot less cluttered up here. This was like my read books, but it was getting super messy as I was reading more books and adding them. And it's really annoying because this top shelf is the shortest. So that's why I have to have these books on their sides. And then the second shelf is mostly nonfiction. I think it's entirely nonfiction now. And I added some, like this book I read, this was like lying down, and this I read recently, and then this was on the top shelf, but it's actually nonfiction, so it's read nonfiction. And then my bottom shelf is entirely TBR books now, which it always kind of was, but it's a little bit more consolidated. It's basically, oh, you can't even see it even a little bit. That's about as good as I can do. Now it's entirely TBR books, and then I took all my short paperbacks and put them in a separate stack for whatever reason, just cause. It's mostly fiction, but I have a little bit of nonfiction over here. And then I have so many stacks of nonfiction books that are unread that I just like don't really want them to be like TBR books. Like random stuff I picked up at like library sales where I'm like, ooh, that's such a cool book, I want to have it, but I don't want to like read it, you know, front to back. Like printing types, their history, forms, and use, volume 2. Like I don't want to read this, I just want to have it and like look at it sometimes, you know. Now there are definitely some of these I do want to read, like the C.S. Lewis hoax. Like I was so like, well, what's the hoax, tell me. I also don't want to be like feeling the pressure like I need to read it now. I don't know, I just picked it up at a library sale, it's not that high stakes. So these guys remain off my digital TBR. Anyway, I will hopefully be getting a new bookshelf soon to have some more room because there's so much I can't fit on this bookshelf, and I would love to have a bigger bookshelf right to the right of me. It's a little overwhelmed with just piles of books all around. I'm really happy that I finished Birds Without Wings. Like I said, I've been reading this literally since June. It was recommended by a peer, by someone who I really connected with in that class. So I'm really glad that I have read it. I don't know that I have her contact information. I should have her email. It's just one of those little connections where you meet at one point in time and you want to just kind of grip onto a little something from that relationship. So I'm glad I read it. It was nice to be in this time period for a little while, and then it was very unfortunate because so many horrible things happened, but I will update you tomorrow. I think I'm just going to keep this reading vlog going for the whole week because I want to post this on Tuesday. So I think I can go all the way through to Sunday, which means I won't be filming on Saturday, but I can update you on the reading I do on Saturday. Bucket Listathon still isn't starting until next week, so it still counts. I'll let you go. I forgot to include this in my update, but today I went and got lunch at my friend Grayson's house and she gave me cake. She made this beautiful chocolate cake, and by beautiful I mean it totally crumbled in the pan, but it's delicious. She's on AuthorTube, which is BookTube adjacent, so you should all go check her out. It is Saturday evening. I did not update yesterday because by the time, oh my gosh, apparently I've been talking too much today or something. By the time I was kind of towards the end of my day and felt like I might have updated, it was past sundown, and that means it was Shabbat, and so I didn't want to. But I do have updates. I finished. I'll have what he's having. Yay. I enjoyed it. I'm excited to talk to the book club about it. I'm curious what other people will think. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. Other books. I did find my place in The Secret History. I didn't start reading. Basically, I found my place and then I went back to the nearest chapter So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm on chapter 5. I was in the middle of chapter 5, maybe like 20 pages further, and I'm gonna see if I want to start there or if I want to start earlier back. But this is not gonna get not gonna get finished this week. That's how far I am in it. I am a third of the way, and this is a little bit less than that. So I started another book. This is Secret Game. This is another grandfather recommendation, so I do really want to read it in the next week or so. It's not on any TBRs, but that's okay because the last one I read was on my bucket list-a-thon TBR, so I got that done early. So I'm kind of putting this in its place, kind of. Anyway, I did start it and I got around 70 pages into it yesterday and today. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. The other book, this is another book that has been on my currently reading for a long time, and I'm actually getting progress on it. I don't think I remembered that this was one of them on Thursday, but it is, and I read it last night, I read it this morning, and this is where I am now. I was 55 pages in, and now I am 130 pages in, and it only has 185 pages, including the appendix, which I don't know if I'll read the appendix. So that means I only have 50 pages left. I'm gonna try and finish this tonight, and this is a book I'm borrowing from my friend, so I definitely want to return it to her, and it's a very old copy, so I'm hoping that the cover is not like about to fall off, because I really have tried to take care of it while it's been in my care. But this book is from the 60s. So anyway, this is a Jewish philosophy book. It's been really interesting to talk to her about. It's like very humanistic. It's about like how we can be better people. So that's cool. There were loud people outside. I hope you can't hear this. The other book that I have been in the middle of for a little while is Celestial Monsters. I don't think I'm gonna worry too much about this because it hasn't actually been that long. And this is part of another vlog. So that will motivate me to finish it. So will the fact that it's out from the library. So that means that my top priorities for tomorrow, well, for tonight, I want to finish this. And for tomorrow, I want to start this again. And I will probably also start When Among Crows. I mentioned this before. This is a novella, and I think it's due back to the library like tomorrow. So like, I just need to get through it, and it'll be easy to read, I think. These are my goals for the next couple days. Hopefully I can finish Ye Shall Be As Gods tonight. That will be super nice. So yes. Hello, it is Monday morning, so I did not update last night, but I'm here to close out this vlog. It kind of went off, not off the rails, but like definitely off the path that I intended to put it on. That being said, I did finish You Shall Be As Gods, which means that I finished 2 books that had been I had been in the middle of currently reading for months and months and months. I have not made any progress in The Secret History. Every time I would sit down to read, I would just be like, I don't want to read it. So, you know, I decided to take it easy. I do have my place marked for whenever I do end up picking it up. And I checked and I started reading this in May, so it's not quite as bad as I thought, I guess. I guess it's closer in time to Birds Without Wings, so that makes me feel a little bit better. I did not read this. I did finish You Shall Be As Gods. I did read the entirety of When Among Crows yesterday, and I actually really liked it. I thought this was super cool, so I don't know. Not at all a book I've been in the middle of, but I can return it to the library today, which is good. I have continued reading The Secret Game. I have also, I said I wasn't gonna worry about this, and then I did read a couple chapters of it. So I think I read maybe another 8%, not very much, but I'm a liar who lies, and I did read some of it. And that's basically it for the books that I already talked about. Now, unrelated to the books I've already talked about, I did read 2 other books during the course of this vlog, which were Trust of the Emerald Sea and Yours Truly. I didn't really talk about them because they were audiobooks and because they weren't books I'd been reading for a long time, but I was really audiobooking yesterday and on Friday, and anyway, I listened to a bunch of Trust of the Emerald Sea. I finished that yesterday, and then I picked up Yours Truly, and I finished that this morning. So all in all, a pretty good reading week, a pretty good reading vlog, I may say, although not entirely successful, but I'm feeling much more ready to go into bucket list-a-thon, to finish up some more books that I'm in the middle of. Maybe not The Secret History. I really don't know about this one, but you know, we'll get there. And yeah, I think I'm down to maybe 6 books in my currently reading tab on Storygraph, which there's 2 books that I'm not actually very currently reading. I don't know why they're there, honestly, because I'm not currently reading them, which means it's more like 4 books that I'm currently reading, which feels so much better. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you following along with me on this journey to motivate myself to finish some of these books. I am pretty proud of finishing a couple of them, and I hope you'll check out the next one. Bye!